All right, I think we can get started here. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is a planning committee meeting. It is July 31st, 2 p.m. Wednesday. We have a proposal here to sell 4 different vacant parcels to Charlie Ackerman. It's right here, with the intention of building ultra low income housing. I think for starters, it'd be useful just to have you once again, Charlie, walk us through like what your plan is, why you need these parcels, why they make sense, but just a quick overview of what you're trying to do.
Well, I prepared a little thing, so maybe it'd be easier if I just do that.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, first off, thank you all very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. My name's Charlie Ackerman from 106 Home Avenue, Binghamton. I am asking the city to approve the sale of 4 lots at 35 through 41 Charlotte Street in the city of Binghamton. I presented the city with the design to build 36 micro units for use for ultra low income housing for individuals at this location. The units will be completely self-sustaining or units will be completely self-sustaining, each about 150 square foot. Each apartment will have a private bathroom, a small but sufficient kitchen, and most importantly, a private front door. The apartment will not be large, but it will be similar in size to a relatively appointed motel room. The goal is simple: to provide housing to people that are frequently without housing. We have a good half dozen plus caring and professional support agencies, myriad of acronyms, both public and private, that work hard for the unhoused. They have resources for rental assistance, staff for social work. The one item they all have a shortage of is available housing units. Without a roof to put over people's heads, all the HUD money, all the state money, all the social workers in the world do not solve the problem of homelessness. We need actual roofs to solve that problem. This location has wonderful advantages. It is within walking distance to the Price Chopper, the Family Dollar, the Lord's Walk-In, or whatever it's called, Guthrie, I suppose now. Guthrie Walk-In. The bus stop on Main Street is right behind it. Catholic Charities is maybe 500 foot. Broome County Social Services is within a half a mile. I know that people deserve shelter. I consider it a total failure of our society that we have left our brothers and sisters to live in the streets. It's a shambles. It's a disgrace. To allow human beings to live in the elements with nothing more than an overpass for cover is a shame on all Americans. I believe that it is 100% the responsibility of the government to provide the common welfare. To build these very units, the government should build these very units for people without means. But at this moment in time, government has left this to the private market, unfortunately. And here we are, the private market solution to what is a government failure.
Quick pause. There's been a request from the media to come in and film this meeting. We want to see that everyone is all right before we let them in.
But personally, you don't want them.
We assume
really-
Is there a kind of is there a legal obligation you'd like to advise us of, Corporation Counsel?
So, I mean, there isn't,
But we're already getting filmed, but
yeah, they're kind of being filmed, like,
Yeah.
no, there's a good reason
We're
to
also
exclude them.
Yeah, and totally up to your, I got it. You want me to put it out?
Up to you guys. You are
I
the
say-
president, you are the chair, you are the guest. It's not mine.
does that make any of you guys uncomfortable?
Well, I already hate reading out loud, but what the hell?
We just started earlier.
Yeah. I already gave you the part about government failure. but,
Right.
You know.
Sure.
Media's always.
So allow me to continue here. So as a business person, I solve problems. I find openings in the market and I fill them. It seems to me that in Binghamton, the problem is units. We do not have enough housing units in Binghamton. I believe that we need luxury units, we need market rate units, we need workforce units, we need condos, we need single families, we need multifamilies. And in this particular case, we need ultra low income housing. If my math bears out, and I believe it does, I can find investors, banks, private money investment groups that will fund this low income project enough to get it up in the air. I have made clear that there are a number of hurdles to get past to make this project go up. But the first hurdle can be solved by y'all, which is selling me the lots themselves. No reputable contractor, builder, etc., is going to even think about talking to me until I have secured the land. Nobody wants to talk about some dream scenario of, oh, if you get this land, then I need to buy this land to do it. And I am requesting to buy the land for $500 a parcel. I will pay taxes on it from the point that I take possession of it, and I will deal with it. I know that council wanted deed restrictions that guarantee that this land be used for low income housing, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Also, I know that council had made a point that they want a deed restriction to claw back the parcels if I shouldn't be able to get this development started within a period of time, 5 years, whatever, don't care.
We're looking at 3.
Great, sure. I mean, I'm cool with,
Right.
it's gonna take a while to get it up. I don't wanna get it up and then it get clawed back, but I'm totally cool with giving it back. I don't. I think I made clear that I can't find anybody else that has done this. I cannot find a private market, 150 square foot homeless housing project. I'm going to spend my own money to hire architects to figure out how this can be done, talk to banks, etc. But I need the land in order to do that. The only requests that I'm putting forward in addition are I need 30 days due diligence to do an environmental review. I don't believe that there's any sort of environmental problems, but I don't wish to buy environmental problems that will be stuck with me the rest of my life. I'm asking for council and the mayor's office support for a future pilot on this project, just because the margins are incredibly tight. The tax burden on a $1.35 million development would be almost, 90-something thousand dollars. So I really need a pilot to make this go, because I cannot afford $90-something thousand in taxes on this. I can't afford it anywhere near. I'm here to answer any questions that you have, anything that I didn't cover here. Let me know what I can help you out with.
I would first touch on like the deed restrictions that thought about a little bit. I think and I don't know, this is where you would come in hopefully to figure out how to work like legal language around it. And maybe you don't have an answer on it right now, but if it was, I don't think it would be like, if this project isn't done in 3 years, then we take the lots back. But if it's like, if there isn't forward progress, if you haven't secured funding, if there's like, if you haven't made it past zoning, planning commission, et cetera, we'd like to be able to have the ability to bring it back at the same purchase price. Does that seem like something that we could put into that? Would that be allowable, and would that be agreeable?
So there's ways to structure in having some sort of clawback ability or, right to retake the property. What we'd have to look at is what do we want as one or more of the triggers for that? And the best way to sort of set it up, right? So, kind of couple things have been touched on. So one is, is the, one of the triggers, breaking ground, or getting approvals, or is it being completed? I mean, you could have multiple triggers set up in there as part of having like ability to claw back. If you have one trigger, it's kind of figuring out how to structure it and make it clear to everyone, like, here's where the line is and where this has to be at different points in time to make sure this project is going the way that everyone wants it to go. There's also the question of whether or not you put in a condition that this has to remain ultra low income housing over, a specific time period. I understand that it's being presented as ultra low income housing now. Question is the idea that it's always going to be that way, or is there a specific time period where it has to remain that? And figuring out what to balance in with that. Because again, everyone can kind of sit here and say, hey, this is, how we want it to work now and everything, without knowing how parties might be different down the road. This might end up in a holding company, and that holding company might end up wanting to do something different down the road. City council's going to change at some point and might view it as, or at least the people on city council are going to change, and they might have a different idea of what this is supposed to be. And so all the parties are going to want to make sure that it's clear what the intent is, and then just spelling it out. So the short answer is yes, there's ways to build all that out. I think there's probably more discussions that have to happen in terms of what those different triggers are, and then we can draft into them.
I mean, as far as a deed restriction, I don't think that there is a technical ultra low income. I think that's just a word I'm just kind of tossing out there. I think that there is a standard that HUD has as to what low income is. And I think that would be the simplest peg to put this to, and just say this will remain low income housing. As far as the time period, these are 150 square foot units. I can't imagine that I'm gonna have a lot of options with this down the road. So I'm good with it just having a deed restriction, period, low income housing. There's many times that federal loans go forward that as long as it stays to a HUD similar. I could be, I mean, maybe my attorney has a different opinion on the subject, but as for today, I don't, we're not gonna finalize it right this second, but the idea is that this is low income housing. I'm not building this for any other reason, so I think that that's fine. As far as the clawback, the problem is that there's frequently delays that happen in construction, especially with a new idea. So I mean, I could have this done with planning in better part of 6 months, I could get my building permits in the better part of a year. And as long as that's where it is, I just don't want to get this built up, spend all my money to get this going, have 6 months to go, some other developer sitting in the wings says, oh, well, the city's gonna claw it back in 6 months if Charlie doesn't get this built, and then they swoop in and take it. So I think that permits would be a place that I would like to draw the line, if I can pull the permit, then we can go. And I would prefer closer to a 5-year timeline. I believe that I can get this up in 2 years, but I don't know if anyone's ever hired a contractor to work on their house. That's, best laid plans of mice and men. So I believe that this can go up in 2 years, but 5 years would be definite. If I don't have this thing up in 5 years, I don't think I'm going to have this up. So I'm cool with gets permits within 18 months and something to that effect. I don't know, you guys can work it out. Something that seems reasonable.
Not talk about the clawback, but my concern as being that it's in my district or in the first ward. I'm worried about all the things that all of first ward is pretty much a floodplain.
This is not.
Isn't it?
No.
Even though there's a creek, there's a small ditch back to this back. You hear
I
that?
believe, I'll triple check right this second, makes you feel better, but I believe that it is not in floodplain. I typically am uninterested in things in the floodplain.
Yeah, what I have.
That's what I was.
is out.
With
Side
this,
of it.
It's out.
That's what I'm saying.
And outside of the draft one as well, or just the?
Yeah, it's,
it's on the outside of it, okay.
uh. But yeah, no, let me just look real quick, so I can say that. Yeah, no, we are not in the floodplain here.
Okay. All right, well, that's perfect, that's perfect. Another is that since when you came and brought up this information and we're trying to bring this up. You were saying that you're really not gonna make much of a profit from all of it. And. when- So with 173,000. There's not much of a profit that you probably would get off of it.
No, I wish it was 173,000. That would not take into account any of the expenses that go along with it, the financing, I gotta finance the loan. I have to pay the taxes. I have to pay the insurance. It's questions if I'm going to be paying the utilities, management, maintenance, vacancy, et cetera, et cetera. When I say I'm not going to make a profit on it, this is a for-profit venture. This is the private market answering what is government's responsibility. Because government is lacking at taking care of what needs to be taken care of. So middle of the night, one night, did some math. And I figured out that 150 square foot unit is privately fundable. I absolutely could invest my money in something that was a much higher return than doing it. Typically, I do student housing, there's great margins in student housing. This is not the margins I get on student housing. This is a lower margin, but it still is a for-profit venture that the bank has to fund, that investors have to feel comfortable supporting, et cetera. So no, this will not be my highest return, and it is not 170 something thousand. Just the bank financing alone on this. I'm looking at almost $95,000 a year in mortgage payments, just right off the bat.
I think we brought this up at the work session, but would you be comfortable sharing the business plan that you have, the draft business plan?
The draft,
Cause I know you got your spreadsheet that you reference all the time about.
yeah. No, I wouldn't. It's a for-profit business,
Mhm.
and I don't want to share my magic formula with everybody else. I can tell you that I will be taking care of a public need that you all should be taking care of and should not be my responsibility. And I will be providing clean front doors for people that do not have front doors or roofs or anything else. I am buying the lots at a reasonable price from the city. I am going to pay taxes on the lots until the development is done. I am going to request a pilot once we get there, but we hand out pilots to worse things than ultra low income housing, for goodness sake. I think that it would be completely reasonable but short of that, I'm not asking the city for anything I'm asking the city to have a fair market transaction with me. Where I become the private owner of lots that are not being taxed by the city right now. And if you drive by these lots, there's refuge all over the place. These places are run amok. If the city code department drove by there, I wonder who they issue the ticket to. So I think that if anything, I would be just improving the lots by buying them. By giving the city $2,000 and the tax money for the next 5 years while I develop this. And hanging no trespassing signs. I think that I have already improved it. So no, I'm not willing to share my business plan.
Okay.
That would be my next answer. My next question would have been, well, once you succeed with this, is this what you're planning with, planning on doing other places, but since.
I think that there's desperate need for it. I think that it is an absolute shame on every single one of us that we have homeless people, period. And I believe in my heart that it is your responsibility to fix it. But if you are not going to, and I can make enough money that the bank will fund it, then I will do it. And this isn't a benevolent charity that I'm doing. I'm not doing this, but for no money. I'm not a wealthy man. I am not independently of resources. I did not inherit a huge amount of money. I have not won the lottery. I need to make a living. So yes, I will, if this works, repeat elsewhere. I think that Johnson City could desperately use this. I think that Endicott could desperately use this. I think that Ithaca could desperately use this. Syracuse, Utica, et cetera, et cetera. We are in a homelessness crisis. We are allowing human beings to live in the elements. Something needs to be done.
I think that's a good chair.
Sure.
Just mention
If you-
it to the mic so it can be streamed.
I was wondering, what is the screening process for approving people to live in the units?
It would follow, New York state law. New York state law limits what the screening process is. I mean, when we're providing housing to homeless people, I don't know if I can go off of references or, credit score, which I think credit score right now is one of the only things that I can actually discriminate for. So if the ultimate goal is, once this is complete, I believe that there will be a long line of nonprofits, the ACBC, the Catholic Charities, the STEP, the myriad of acronyms that will want to do some sort of master lease on this, right? And they can take over the project. They can just give me the money to finance it, and then they have 36 units that, Catholic Charity sorts out how it's done. I think that all of these agencies would love to build 36 units. The problem is, in the nonprofit sector, there's board meetings, there's grants, there's et cetera, et cetera. I believe I can do this privately, which means I get them up quickly. And then a myriad of acronyms comes and we negotiate some sort of master lease. They deal with it. They deal with the screening process. They deal with whatever it is. But I mean, if I were to run this, there's very little screening that is legal. New York state law is very strict about I'm a licensed real estate broker. I cannot violate New York state law, nor would I, on any sort of background checks. One of the few things I have is credit score, but with this particular project, I don't know if that would be applicable.
I think, I don't doubt what you're saying about that there would be a partner that would want to work with you when this is built. But would it be too much to ask for you to get a letter of support from any one of your acronyms, whether it's Greater Opportunities? So prior to.
Yeah, I think it is. I think that I am, again, buying at fair market value property from the city. I am then using my own money and my own resources to build them. I am making a business risk. I'm taking a business risk to do something. I do not want asks. So if I ask, a nonprofit, can I, do you want to partner with me on this? There's going to be asks. I can't afford asks. These things are 150 square foot because I can't afford anything more. I'm going to build them, and we will answer the number one problem, which is roofs and doors. I believe a lot can be sorted out after we have roofs and doors. I think that the nonprofits will make it work very well for them as soon as they have 36 roofs and doors. So no, I don't think that it's appropriate to have a third party necessarily need to support this. I believe that there is no code in the city that says how small a unit is unless it's a 5-bedroom or larger, right? I believe that I am meeting the ADA standard. I have 2 apartments on the first floor that will meet the ADA standard. All of the units are going to be called what are wet bathrooms, where there'll be a center floor drain and tiled completely. So though they are not of the ADA standard, a person in a wheelchair would be able to get into all 12 of the first floor units safely. I believe that I am looking for a private market solution to what is a government problem. And I do not think that having an external NGO, nonprofit, etc., support it is neither here nor there.
Kind of, I disagree with you that if you're gonna rely eventually on some type of social services to be partnered with, I think it's better to have that intent before it's built. So
I can't afford it. What if they say
to have a letter of intent or like that we support building homes for
Right,
that are
more
extremely
generic.
affordable? Like, it doesn't have to be like, yes, we're gonna partner with
You-
Charlie if only he doubles the size of the units.
do you need a letter of support saying that we need housing for homeless?
No, no, I'm saying like a letter of support saying that like, yes, this particular project is something that we would like to, that we see that there's a need for and would be interested in a potential partnership in the future. Something that's like, it leaves it open, but there's,
Look,
it's not a contract.
sure. I am hesitant to do that. Because I believe that that will, again, I could just run these. I have run rooming houses. I have owned rooming houses. I had a 22-bed rooming house that I ran for $401 a month. It was better part of 10 years ago. And oddly, the state subsidy is still $401 a month, if you can believe that disgusting. I have no problem managing these types of properties. I am a real estate broker. I deal with human beings needing shelter. It would be great to just hand it off to one of these groups, but I don't want more fingers in the pie. I want to build this quickly. You want a letter of support that says that they need housing. Just drive down to Clinton Street, pop under the bridge. It'll tell you that we need housing. If this is like some sort of, need to be sure. I just think that, I think that too often we have carts and horses, right? And we're putting them in the wrong order. What we need is housing units up. We do not need a plan for when it's done, right? Today, we need housing units. And the plan will find itself. Right now, we're spending $7 million on motels in Broome County. $7 million for emergency housing for people. There you go, right there. There is extreme demand. Who will run these? I am more than capable. I have a long history as a real estate broker. I am more than capable of running these on my own. If a nonprofit organization wishes to lease them out from me, I am sure they will want to. This seems like a product that they need. But I don't want to, if you need it, sure, I can get something. But I just don't want to intertangle. The whole concept here is that this is simple. I'm not looking for grant money. I'm not looking for federal subsidies. I'm not looking for tax credits. I am looking for a pilot. Nobody, please. But I'm not looking for anything that would not be, if I came to you and said that I want to buy a lot on Seminary that the city owns, and I want to build student housing there. And I will pay you $500 for that lot, and you are not doing anything with it. Would you need a letter of support from Binghamton University that we need student housing? Okay, so I'm saying it's the same thing. If you need it, I'll do it, but I think that I don't want to get in the weeds. I want to keep as few partners on this as possible. I want to
Get rid of the middleweight.
get rid of all the red tape, the weeds, the bullshit. You know, let's just put up units, the maths. I think that I can get it done. I'm not 100% sure, you know, again, nobody's ever done this, but I think I can do it. So I'll buy it and I'll gamble with my money, pay an architect, hire a builder, you know, do the site work, get an engineer, figure out if it can be done. And I don't see why I need a third party.
All the risk is pretty much on you.
100%. 100% on me. I'm taking all the. I mean, you know,
Alright,
the engineer alone is gonna cost me $5,000-10,000 to figure out what the site looks like. You know, there was bulldozed houses on this land right now that is probably unstable. I'm gonna have to do core samples. I got environmental reviews. I gotta hire an architect. I gotta hire. I mean, there's a lot of money that needs to get outlaid, and I don't want a third party telling me what's what. If you need that, let it go. I will get it.
I understand your position. But. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm required or not. I just wanted to see what your reaction to it was. Go ahead.
Question about how this generally works with lot sales. I think for us, we've mostly just voted on like side lots. For example, which is
Or
not
to
this-
nonprofits.
or to nonprofits. So I don't know if our corporation counsel here could talk to us about how this happens away from this specific project, but selling land to for-profits for development.
Yeah, and I think that the deputy mayor sent around an email kind of outlining generally what the process is, where, you know, an application is submitted requesting to buy land, property, and that kind of gets circulated to different departments. You know, any sale of property does have to go through the Board of Estimate and Apportionment prior to city council being able to finally approve anything. So that's sort of like the general overview of the moving parts and everything to this. I believe the side lots all go through E&A, but I can double check. I'm fairly certain. Yeah, that's the general process. Is it comes in, gets looked at, and then, you know, different determinations are made, like goes to the assessor to assess, you know, what's the value of the property, does it line up with what's the request is, what the purchase price is, and all that stuff, so. And then it's routed to planning to look at, see what the plan implications are. All those parts kind of get handled through it.
Do you have a, I don't know, you're also kind of new like us, but a sense of when the last time we've sold land for a for-profit venture? And what that like,
I can tell you there was I don't know the intent of it, but I can tell you that there was a sale approved by Lily today.
okay,
Of $4,500 of a private lot.
for development.
Like I said,
Right,
I'm not aware of the
Okay.
intent, I'm just the secretary.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that was to a homeowner, but I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to go and look
Yeah.
at what it was. Most of the recent ones that I know of from the city. I think most have been the side lot ones.
yeah, yeah.
I can go and look and see when the last time we did a commercial one was. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
I'm just kind of curious what that looked like and what was required of the organization, corporation, individual, whoever it was. So that we have a kind of a history of what the norms
Yeah.
are.
wanted to talk about zoning, because and I was hoping that Tito would join us, but right now those lots are zoned for industrial. I think you're aware of that, so you have to go through the zoning board of appeals. Do you think that there would be? You know, and there's also like residential on that street, so I don't think it's that hard of an ask, but
So it's
Think that-
it's adjacent to, I believe it's either C2 or C3 on Main Street. Which means that I have the right to appeal that for change of use. If, I can't remember if it's C2 or C3, but if it gets changed to commercial, commercial can revert to R3. Once it's zone commercial, it reverts to R3. For a residential use, so I don't think that'll be a major problem.
Mhm.
I will have to go through the zoning board of appeals, hopefully with a letter of support from council and the mayor's office, which will make this just sail right through, hopefully.
okay. The other thing I was gonna ask about was code. I was hoping someone would be here from code, but this is, have you already run this by code or?
I had an informal conversation.
Right,
With code, just chit chatting. I deal with code quite frequently in the building department in particular. There is nothing on the books that says what the minimum unit size is in the city code. Unless we are a 5-bedroom unit, a 5-bedroom unit has to be 1,500 square foot. So I know that there are some things about bedroom size, but being that this is a studio, I think that's fine. I think bedroom size has to be something like 85 foot. This would be larger than that. There is something about distance from appliances. And I think that I can get through that. My architect feels that we have gotten through all. I mean, we're running a loophole here, right? There's 150 square foot is not a precedented size, so I'm just going through what the code says, and it seems as though that this fits code requirements. As long as there's an ADA, it shouldn't be that big a deal, and I've met the ADA requirements. The other big problem is the parking requirement is going to be an extravagant burden. Right now I'm looking at 36 parking spots, which just seems absolutely ridiculous. But I know that the city can reduce that by 50%, and that is something else that I'll be requesting. I would request further. I'm not sure if that's feasible or I don't know beyond that, but I do know that I can request a reduction to 50% of the parking. I don't think there's going to be huge demand for parking for the tenants that I'm looking for. I think there's going to be a huge demand for roofs for the people that I am looking for. And if there is a way that I can reduce cost, parking lots are incredibly expensive. In some cases, parking lots are almost as expensive as building the unit itself. I don't think it'll be the case here, but still, you get the point though. But short of the parking requirement, I think that I fall within right.
thanks.
It definitely need parking, but I don't know about 36 units. I heard
36,
so let's say about 20, 15, maybe.
15 or half, I could live with half. A reduction beyond that would be great. There needs to be some parking, but I personally, if anyone would like to talk about reviewing planning altogether, think that parking requirements are a burden to housing already. So we can talk about that at another
That's
day.
beyond
But being
this
in-
discussion.
Beyond this discussion.
So being in that area, it's really hardly any. If somebody needed to be parking, there's hardly any place to park.
Well, there's tons of street parking there. There's I think 3-4 buildings on that side of the street, it's pretty, there is a lot of parking there already. And we do want to encourage a walkable community. So we have the Price Chopper that is, what is that, 500 foot, 600 foot away? We have the bus stop that is a couple 100 foot away. We have So, you know,
Sorry, I'm just trying to still, so. When people have a project, they bring it to the city as opposed to like the city doing RFPs. Like, or how does like, I'm just like trying to tease apart how these projects come apart, have come around in the past.
My understanding is the vast majority of something like this is someone approaching the city saying, I wanna do this project.
Okay.
uh, Again, most of the time, it's less of the sale piece, and more of the planning and zoning piece, where it's like, I wanna build this development, or I already have the purchase parcel. But yeah, I don't know that the city has
Okay.
really done like RFPs or anything for like the sale and development
Of
of.
city owned property.
Yeah, I mean, once in a while you see it, like, I know they did one for the parking lot across
Yeah.
the street, they released something out, I don't know if that was a formal RFP, but they were looking for.
Ideas.
Yeah, ideas to redevelop it.
Okay, so this is pretty typical in terms of how something gets done. Or started,
that's
the
what-
conversation gets started is.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
someone has an idea and they bring it forward.
I don't see any issue with having to build it, especially if we are in need. Cause it sounds like we're not, it sounds like we're trying to block it almost, then rather than trying to push forward. What is it? That's my opinion. I don't have any other questions, or statements. Other than. He's taking all the risk. And it's just taking away a burden on, it's taking a burden from us in a sense.
yeah,
So
appreciate it.
I don't think I have any other questions. Anybody else? Anything they want to bring up?
I guess my question is, what's the next step? What happens after this meeting?
I think we'll circle back with different folks from the city and people from city council about this meeting and other information that we come up with. And then we'll
Oh,
move forward. from there.
I guess I
Go
don't
ahead.
have any more questions, but I do have a question. So are we changing or amending? The RL in such a way as instead of for the dollar that we would be given and that we have been normally for nonprofits.
Yeah.
Or change it to 2,000 as the purchase price that we're willing to do.
I think it'd be either 2,000 or whatever,
The
the assessor. Whatever you go back and forth with the assessor on.
I mean, I
Which
can't
is-
imagine that vacant land on Charlotte Street's worth, I just bought a vacant lot for $500 on stage, so I got comps.
But that's good to make sure that everyone's aware that the RL says for $1, but what we're
Mhm.
talking about is 2,000.
And then, I would like,
Make an amend the RL, and we can record that at the clerk's office.
I will do that.
Yeah, that's what I mean, that's, I think that's what, really what we're here for. In a sense. Am I correct? That's what, I mean, that's what we are really here, all of this community, is to ensure that we give that fair price of 2,000 or more, depending on the city assessor for this project that he is trying to create.
That's a piece of it for sure. But
So will it be a motion for adjourn?
Do we do a motion if there was no forum?
You wanna just adjourn the meeting, Chair Hotchkiss?
all right, I adjourn the meeting. Meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
thank you guys very much.